Russian President Vladimir Putin is preparing to hold military exercises in the Caribbean. Russian warships will begin to arrive near Cuba next week. All right, O'Keefe asked White House spokesman John Kirby about the possibility that Moscow could use nuclear power as part of the show of force.
I would just say that we have no indication and no expectation that nuclear weapons will be at play here in these exercises. Clearly, this is them signaling their displeasure about what we're doing for Ukraine. So we're going to watch it. We're going to monitor it.
CBS News national security contributor Sam Vinograd joins us now for our weekly national security wrap-up. Sam, I was even surprised to hear that Russia conducted these exercises, or that Moscow, rather, ordered these exercises back in 2019. What should we expect from these exercises that are taking place now?
Well, Lana, many analysts agreed that this is really Vladimir Putin flexing his muscles. Last week, we learned that President Biden had agreed to let Ukraine use U.S.-manufactured weapons on the Russian side of their shared border. And this week, the White House alerted individuals that Russia is planning to conduct military exercises in the Caribbean, which they have done in the past. The exercises are anticipated to include both naval maritime ships as well as aircraft. And about 4 ships or so will be making port calls in Cuba in June and potentially in Venezuela as well. Now, the White House is seriously downplaying the significance of these exercises. They're pointing to the fact they've happened before and indicating that they do not pose any direct threat to the United States. As U.S. support for the war in Ukraine continues, we should expect Vladimir Putin to continue to flex his muscles on the world stage and to engage in further shows of force.
And let's turn to our border. Talk to us about the new executive order that the Biden administration signed earlier this week and the challenges that it might face.
Well, after months of congressional inaction, President Biden this week signed an executive order that went into effect at 12:01 a.m. on Wednesday. The order restricts asylum claim processing at our southern border between ports of entry. More specifically, it makes the large majority of individuals encountered between ports of entry ineligible to claim asylum. It will no longer be in effect if encounters of individuals between ports of entry on our southern border go below 2,500 a day over a 7-day period, and it would then snap back if encounters go above 1,500 a day for a period of time. It is worth noting that, for example, in the month of May, the daily average of encounters was 3,800. So reaching that 2,500 trigger point is probably going to take some time. There's a challenge there. Further, it is worth noting that a large number of individuals encountered between ports of entry at our southern border can't be returned to their home countries. The administration did conduct, I believe, 17 flights of individuals in the Western Hemisphere to return or remove them home. But for example, a Chinese national who's encountered between a port of entry with the executive order in effect can't be processed for asylum, but they also can't be returned to China because we don't have an agreement in place to do so with the People's Republic of China. So they will be taken into U.S. custody, will take up bed space, or some other alternative to detention would be explored.
All right. Sam, another big headline, French police arresting a man after an explosion in Paris this week. What more do we know?
Well, we know that overall we're in a very heightened threat environment from a terrorism perspective. The U.S. State Department issued a worldwide threat advisory last month warning U.S. citizens about travel overseas. This was reportedly based on intelligence about an ISIS plot against Pride events in Europe. Here in the homeland, the U.S. authorities have issued warnings about ISIS and other foreign terrorism-inspired attacks within our own borders. And this week, we understand that French authorities arrested a 26-year-old Russian Ukrainian who injured himself while building explosive devices in a hotel near to Charles de Gaulle Airport. Now, this, of course, comes as France is dealing with several high-profile events this summer, both D-Day commemorations and the Biden state visit, as well as the upcoming Olympics. High-profile events are typically targets for malign actors who want to make a significant impact on the world stage. We understand that there was an 18-year-old arrested a few weeks ago who allegedly was plotting a suicide mission against the Olympics himself. So we should expect French authorities with their international partners, including the United States, to be engaging in very serious, broad and deep intelligence sharing, intelligence gathering, intelligence analysis, and very quick operational responses to mitigate any security risks.
All right, Sam Vinograd in Washington. Thanks, Sam.
Thanks.